So the guitar in this box is literally one of the best guitars I've played and ever owned. Now the PRS that I've just bought, I've only had for 3 weeks so far. So I'm just gonna give you a heads up, I'm still technically in that, what they call the honeymoon phase, kind of like when you have a girlfriend and the first 6 months to a year, everything's sunshine and roses, and then the arguments start happening. But no, this guitar so far is showing to me that it's just becoming such a reliable instrument for me to use. Now I'm going to talk about a few things that I really like about it. I'm going to talk about the feel of the guitar, the tone, I'm going to mention the treble bleed, and also the aesthetics. If you are interested in this guitar, make sure you check out my channel, because later on I am going to be doing a more in-depth review after a couple of months. So if you're interested in that, check out my channel for some more guitar related content, and feel free to subscribe because it helps support the channel. Thanks guys. Now the first thing I noticed when I picked up this PRS is, as someone who was not used to playing PRS guitars before, it weirdly felt small. Now I don't know if this is because I'm somewhat used to playing a Firebird, which is a massive guitar. Picking up this PRS for the first time, I noticed that it was quite small. After playing it for about, I don't know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, I was just in love. This thing was fantastic. Yeah. Now, talking about the neck, I've heard a few people mention in previous videos that the neck is like a baseball bat because it's its own neck. It's not really like a neck that's similar to this or this. The man in the shop, and there was a few people on videos that I've seen, say that it's the DGT neck. Now, that doesn't really explain anything to me. Only thing I can help you guys out with, if you're interested or if you're going to get this guitar online and you want a little bit more info, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's like a baseball bat. My Les Paul definitely has a thicker neck. I've got a Les Paul Studio from 2011, and it definitely has a thicker neck. It's got a fatter neck than this. Now, having said that, this guitar is definitely not loaded with like an Ibanez style neck or a Schecter style neck. It's not thin, no. It's not huge. I would say it's on the fatter side. If that is any help, I mean, the main thing you can do is try it. Everyone's hands are different sizes, so you're going to find it's going to be slightly different, but I wouldn't say it's like a baseball bat. Other thing that kind of comes under this category of feel is tuning. Now, I love tuners that feel stable and feel classy, I would say, or smooth when turning the tuning pegs. When I'm tuning a guitar, and it sometimes can make me not want to buy the guitar, is if the tuners feel cheap. And if they feel hollow, if they feel, when you're turning them, if they don't turn quite smooth, it's a massive turn off for me when looking at a guitar. This one has really smooth tuners. If I'm honest, I honestly would expect something like that from an SE range of a PRS, because everything you see about PRS online is pointed towards how much effort they put into their SE range. Obviously, we know that if you have watched their factory tour, the amount of hard work and workmanship that goes into making one guitar, obviously in the American factory, is insane. I would expect that a guitar that's near about £1,000 even from an import, you would expect pretty decent working tuners. I think that's like a foundation of a guitar. If the guitar doesn't hold its tune, then it's barely an instrument in my opinion, because if it doesn't hold its tune, it's not reliable. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to rely on other instruments that will hold their tune. But no, the feel of these tuners, they hold their tune. Everything's pretty nice. The nut as well. I want to talk about the nut real quickly. If you take a look at how clean that is cut, look at how nicely the strings just slide through the grooves. That is very, very nice to see on a sub £1,000 guitar. Now, fret edges. Pretty good, in my opinion. That this one has pretty decent fretwork on it. If I was to get a microfiber rag and run it up and down the edges of the guitar, I guarantee, yes, you'd probably find some nicks on the towel, but I am not noticing that when I'm playing. The volume pot and the tone pots, I would say this is the only area of the guitar that I would say it would be kind of nice to have different volume knobs and tone knobs. There's literally no grip. If you've got cold hands and you go to turn the volume down, you kind of have to put a bit more effort into it because your fingers are just going to slip because there's no grip on the volume part, on the volume knob. The other thing is that the tone pot is very, very easy to turn, and the volume pots are a little bit harder to turn. I don't mind this, to be honest, because it stops me from accidentally turning down my guitar while I'm playing, and the tone pot's so out of the way, I'm not going to hit it anyway. That's just a thing to note down, but it's not a major issue. Secondly, I want to get onto tone. I love this guitar for its tone. And usually when I buy a guitar, I think about, or I focus on, what does this guitar feel like to play, rather than what does this guitar sound like. It's something that I've kind of, over the last couple of years, realized that where we have the ability to tweak our amp so much, and then we have pedals on the floor, or if you're using modeling software like I am, you have the ability to tweak so much of your, or shape your tone so much. So I've never really been too bothered about what the tone is like on a guitar. If it's bad tone, it's probably down to the amp or the settings that I've got dialed in, so I'll change it. But the one thing that I've realized with this guitar is that it can kind of do a bit of everything. It can kind of do the Les Paul thing, it can kind of do the Strat thing because we can split coil it, and it sounds really, really good. The tones that you get from the humbuckers, I personally love them. I think they're really, really well balanced. The low end, the bassier side, so the neck pickup, isn't overly bassy. It's got a nice thick tone, but for me, I'm not finding it to the point where I can't stay on it for too long because it's just too bassy and too horrible. And same for the treble side. I've had some guitars where the neck pickup has been really bassy and the treble pickup has been incredibly high, and I've had to try and really shape the amp to neutralize the bass and the treble. But this guitar seems to be really well balanced in the low end and in the high end. The treble side of things doesn't seem to cut my ears up when I play quite loud, when I play with overdrive, or even when I play clean on the bridge pickup, because that seems to be a thing. If I play bridge pickup clean, that tends to be the thing that sort of cuts my ear holes open and just, it's like nails on a chalkboard sometimes. We have the ability to split coil. Now, the technical term is, I've heard, a 75% split. So it's not, I guess it's not a full single coil that you're splitting it to. However, if I'm honest, I've never really been a fan of a split coil. This guitar, I actually do use it. It comes in incredibly handy. And the reason why is because it just sounds great. I don't care if it's fully working as a single coil 100%, or it's trying to do a Strat and it doesn't sound like a Strat. I don't care what it's trying to do. I just care that it actually sounds quite nice and it works and I utilize it. Next thing I want to talk about is the treble bleed circuit. So this is something that actually doesn't seem to be advertised a lot with this guitar. I've seen it in some videos and I've experienced it myself. It's a great little thing. You roll the volume down slightly and you have a clean tone. So you can go from like overdrive, an overdrive rhythm tone or a rhythm patch, roll the volume down slightly, and it really backs off that gain and just sparkles the sound a little bit more, so you have a little bit more clean sound coming through, a little bit more of a cleaner signal. And it works really well. There's a few functions of the guitar that I think work really, really well. And we have to remember, again, this is an import guitar. Now, I know it's more on the higher end for an import. It's nearly £1,000. I think the recommended retail price is over 1,000. I think it's like 1,025. But I paid £820 or £825 for this. It's sitting comfortably for me underneath £1,000. There's two versions of this guitar. There's a sunburst one and there is a gold one. Now, the gold one, I prefer the look of. And I think, if I'm honest, I think it is the most popular choice. But the one thing I can say is that in person, this is a much nicer guitar than on a video or in pictures. Now, I don't know if the video that I'm doing myself is going to do this any justice. I'll try my best to make it look pretty good. But it really is a nice looking guitar in person. And I'm a fan of the birds. Now, the gold one comes with the moon inlays, which sort of does look like dot inlays unless you notice the half moon at the bottom. But I think I'd be slightly gutted if I bought a PRS and I didn't get one with birds. I think I would regret it because I am a massive fan of the birds. I think they're so pretty. I know that's controversial. Not a lot of people like the shape of PRSs. Not a lot of people like the bird inlays. Personally, I really like it, so I'm super chuffed with this purchase. So I've got a few more tones to go through. I'm just going to play through a couple of tones that I would normally use. You'll hear some cleans, you'll hear some overdrives, and you'll hear some lead lines.